I'm Matt.
I'm Shane.
And if you like what you hear, make sure you hit that thumbs up button real hard, and make sure you subscribe to Comic Movie Marks.
And also click that little bell for all of the notifications.
Whee!
Always remember,
If Trailer Trash can do it,
anyone can do it.
hello and welcome everyone to another Comic Movie Marks video.
Today we are talking about the much anticipated Ant-Man and Wasp. This is our spoiler-filled review. I doubt you give a shit, but just there's our forewarning, this is spoiler-filled.
Again, there's nothing to spoil about this movie. It is about as generic, nothing much to say.
But we are going to start off with the all-important statistics that everyone cares about. Ant-Man and Wasp currently sits at 184 million worldwide. That's 98 million domestically and 85 million foreign. The opening weekend was $75 million. It's number one rank, I guess, currently. In comparison, the first Ant-Man's opening weekend was $57 million. So a little bit of a bump up from that. It ended up finishing its worldwide at 519 million. The first Ant-Man did.
Jesus. Why?
Right? I know. When I first saw that, I was like, what the fuck? 519 million? That seems way too high.
That's fucking pesos, man. Anyway.
if anyone cares, the Rotten Tomatoes, 86% critic, got a fresh score, and 79% audience. Should I read the critic consensus? Probably not.
Yeah, go for it. Sure. Let's read the critic consensus and see what's being enlightened by Rotten Tomatoes and what their great consensus consists of.
Oh man, it starts off so.
You got to read it now. Now I'm in anticipation.
It starts off so great. A lighter, brighter superhero movie powered by the effortless charisma of Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly. Ant-Man and the Wasp offers a much-needed MCU palate cleanser. What the fuck?
You no longer have integrity and you've completely sold out. What are you going to do now?
I'm going to go to Disney World.
That's what you were talking about in the non-spoiler.
Exactly. But that was in an article. This is in their critic consensus. A lighter and brighter. Oh, it's a nice palate cleanser.
It's San Francisco. You can't get any grayer than San Francisco. What the fuck? I've been to San Francisco. We both have. You pull in there and it's gray. It's all gray. What the fuck?
But
are you
it's
talking
lighter
about?
and brighter.
Good God. Man.
A 7.6 on IMDb out of 10. That's higher than I would think, but
that's a lot fucking higher than I would.
The other kind of interesting thing, both Ant-Man and the Wasp and the first Ant-Man are a minute apart as far as length of movie. So they are almost identical in length. I found that fascinating.
Whoop-de-doo.
Ooh. Quite a party, double header.
I'm reaching here. I'm reaching. But
all right, trying to find nice things
there
to
you
say.
go.
All right, so we'll start off with the positives, I guess. We'll try to be positive right off the bat. Like I said in the non-spoiler, I felt the heart in this one was a little bit better. I don't really like kids in movies. I really don't like kids in general, but I don't know. I really liked Paul Rudd, with Scott Lang's connection with his daughter. I just thought it was kind of cool. I don't know. This may sound like a really weird comparison, but it kind of reminded me of Mrs. Doubtfire.
No. Oh man, that's fucking hilarious. I thought the same exact thing when I was watching it. I was trying to compare, like, man, what does this remind me of? And in the theater, that's exactly what crossed my mind, is Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh,
that's weird. No, that is not a strange comparison, because that's exactly what I thought.
Yeah, it just kind of feels like, she knows he's got a secret, and but she, loves him and wants him to be, I don't know, just part of the family. And you could feel the connection between them, And I thought that was great. And then, of course, Wasp and, Hope and Hank Pym, the desire to find his wife, even though it's super cliche, generic, there's a perfect timer for everything. I mean, the coincidences and the convenience factors of everything. He's got exactly 15 minutes. Even though he runs out of time, he still finds her. She's got all of a sudden forced touch or something. I don't know.
Yeah, all of a sudden.
She's Jesus. She can fix the blind. I don't know. She touches fucking walking on water. All that shit. I don't know. Plot-wise, story-wise, It's terrible. It's generic as fuck.
A lot of eye-rolling moments for sure.
Oh, yeah. It's just like, God damn, of course. All right. But, there is heart behind it. And then, as we talked about in the non-spoiler, the physical/visual comedy. Now, when he has problems with the regulator or whatever it is, and he basically becomes like a 6-year-old kid size or 5 years old.
Oh, man. Holy shit. I was dying.
That part was just fucking hilarious. I don't know why, but it's just stupid shit like that. 'Cause see, that's what we like. And again, humor is subjective. But when he's wearing the sweater and the guy's like, "Where's your hall pass?" And he stands there, and it is comedic timing. And he's just standing there, and then he bails, but he barely moves because he got tiny little legs and shit. He just runs. Yeah. And the guy's reaction too was like, "No, stop, don't run." No, like, kind of like Hannibal Buress from Spider-Man.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a reused joke there, but yeah, it was still hilarious. The part that I almost pissed myself literally because I'm an old man and I had to piss is when he gets like super small and then he jumps. I think either he jumps or he falls. I can't remember, into the water, and it just goes bloop. I don't know why. It was so fucking funny, and I about lost it. I had to like stop myself from laughing because I really thought I was gonna piss myself. It was so funny, and then he grows like huge right after this, and then he like reaches in and grabs the briefcase or whatever the fuck it was. Yeah, the building. I called it the briefcase because there were so many fucking things from like a generic heist movie, and the building took place of a typical briefcase. But yeah, the office building. So he grabs that and then he like flicks the guy and he falls over. And so yeah, just shit like that. The one part hilarious
that I heard you blow up at is when he's scootering along on the truck and the guys in the Cadillac aim the gun at him and he goes and flicks him and goes boop. And
oh yeah,
he flicks the guy's gun and like it's just stupid physical stuff like that. The visual humor aspect that really
was stupid. It was really stupid, but it's funny.
But yeah, it's stuff like that will make us laugh. Dumb things like that's what we even said about Ragnarok. Same shit. Like we're at least consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
The get help thing was hilarious. And when fucking Mark Ruffalo, Bruce Banner bounces off the fucking Rainbow Road like a skipping stone. See, so stupid physical humor like that, that's where we're childish enough to admit that's our bag, baby, is what I'll say. Like, we know it. It might be immature to most. That's our thing. So we can laugh at that shit. Yeah, the small kid thing, the water noise, and I mean, I even kind of a little bit laughed at some of the ant things, the big ant in the bathtub and shit.
Yeah, some of that was pretty funny. There were aspects that were well done.
There was a verbal joke that I did laugh at, is when Hank Pym is looking back at the camera and he's trying to see if the FBI is going to be there at his house, and he sees the ant fucking playing the rock band drums. Yeah. And he looks at him, he's like, "What are you, 15?" like,
yeah,
that did get me.
Funny.
But I was like, that's your target audience. Why are you talking shit about him? Well, anyway.
Right.
There is some parts, but yeah, like we've said, the story, the villain is super generic. Okay. Mm-hmm. They're trying this thing now. It looks like they're trying to get villains with more of a sentimental tie-in. It feels like now. I feel like with Killmonger, Ghost, I guess in this one, Thanos.
My favorite, Vulture. I think his is completely relatable and kind of not fully sentimental, but he's like trying to look out for his family.
Would you steal food to feed your family? That situation.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, this one, she's kind of an accident, and she's going to die because of the accident. So she's got to recover. So the character that Lawrence Fishburne played, like I think it was Bill Foster, I think was the character's name. That was a waste. I'm sorry. That was they just needed someone smart on the other end to help her. But yet she didn't really seem to get where she was, she needed the help. But it just seemed like a worthless casting.
Yeah, I would agree with, especially someone as solid as Lawrence Fishburne to be playing that role. But I do think it helps explain kind of where she was at and how she's able to manage her powers for that length of time, because she was struggling and things like that of trying to basically live. She's being torn apart or whatever the verbiage that she used. But yeah, for when you kind of think like, oh man, Lawrence Fishburne's in this, and then for him to be utilized in that, it didn't really showcase his skills all that much.
I guess we're just bouncing all around with positive and negative. I'm just going to give my thoughts on the movie for the most part. The mafia crew or mobsters, stupid. They were the dumbest characters in the movie, right next to Michael Pena's character, who was actually the one character I actually kind of liked from the first one. And then this one, he was just, again, he was a convenience. He just happened to know where Scott was. He just happened to know this. He was just in the right place at the right time. Didn't feel like he was used well in this at all. And his shit wasn't funny at all. Nothing he did, except for maybe I kind of laughed when he said, you got the fancy pastries, and it's the shit in the box that you can all get for like two for $3 or something. I kind of smiled at that one.
The one thing that I did like is, in regards to the characters, I thought the acting with all of them and for what they're given was pretty solid. I am a Paul Rudd fan. I thought Evangeline Lilly did a good job. Obviously, Michael Douglas, Lawrence Fishburne, Michelle Pfeiffer, they did a good job. And I thought they had a pretty broad range of characters, you know, from Michael Pena and T.I. and the other guy that was in there. Yeah, so Jimmy Woo, I guess, so Randall Park, I thought he was pretty decent. He had some okay lines in there, nothing that like floored me, that were super funny, but there was a broad range of characters kind of throughout this movie. They weren't all like one track, so it flowed pretty well in that sense. And I said this in the non-spoiler version, but and I think I mentioned it briefly in this, but it definitely felt like a parody of a heist movie, and there were certain things that I wasn't sure if they were self-aware, or, you know, if it was intentional or not, or if it was just corny, because there, as Matt mentioned earlier, there's so many conveniences. Of course, there's a timer when Michael Douglas, when Hank Pym is, you know, going through and he's trying to find his wife. Of course, there's a timer, and then of course his wife has the power to cure ghost. And there's like so many things where you're just like eye rolling, like, oh yeah. So it kind of felt like. And I even mentioned earlier with the office building and substituting for the briefcase, it kind of felt that way of like this is almost like a parody, like Get Smart type thing. And so it worked in some aspects, but I'm not sure. I wasn't really sure like how serious I was supposed to take it, because certain things I'm just like, a fucking course. You know, I'm like rolling my eyes like, wow. So I don't know. It did okay. I think if you look at it and don't take it seriously at all and look at it as a parody, then it works that way.
Yeah, one thing I think we might have forgot to mention in the non-spoiler was actually the action for the most part was pretty decent. The CGI, everything, the look of it.
Yeah.
I thought it came out really well. They really utilized the getting big, getting small thing. It was really done a lot in this one compared to the first one, where it wasn't done too much. And this one, they definitely must have had a higher budget, and so they definitely went all out on that with the Wasp and Ant-Man.
I mentioned this in our failed car recording audio. For the backstory on that, watch our non-spoiler review. But I thought they did a really solid job at the CGI with the ghost character. Like that's almost how I would picture it, and I thought it all looked really solid for what they were doing and what they were trying to do, and for something that would come across kind of complicated. I thought it worked, and I thought it looked great.
So then I guess we could talk about the after credit scenes here. We had two after credit scenes. One, for some reason, even though Ghost got the force touch from the original Wasp, from Hank Pym's wife, apparently she still needs, I don't know, what the hell was it? I don't even remember. Whatever, she still needs some kind of power or some kind of energy from that dimension again. And so, for some reason, they're on a roof. Like, I don't even understand why they're in this location that they're in. But anyway, so they're on like a roof with a van or a garage or parking garage or something. Ant-Man gets sent back, is sitting into the thing, and just before he's about to get teleported out, the connection breaks, and we find out pretty much everybody is Ash now. So what happened at the end of Infinity War affected everybody that was on that rooftop. And so now it's supposed to explain where Ant-Man was the whole time, or I guess where Ant-Man is. That's a very interesting after credit scene, because you're basically taking one of your characters that you're making solo films for and isolating him in an area where he has no fucking way of getting out.
Right.
So he's either going to play a super significant role in the movie if somehow this dimension that he's in is going to help him help the Avengers in some manner, in some way. I don't know how. Or he's just not going to be in Avengers 4.
Yeah, completely at all. And he, obviously wasn't in Infinity War, so that's going to be interesting if they keep him out of the sequel to that, Infinity War 2 or whatever the fuck they're calling it. One thing that's been thrown out, and I see this more from DC fans, but it is almost starting to make a little bit more sense, is that they might copy Superman 2 and somehow it's, they go back in time and then, with like the time stone or something and try doing it all over again. So that's how Ant-Man gets out of that. I keep forgetting what it's called, but basically that. Wherever he's stuck, that dimension or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah, I'm really struggling too on that thing that it was. It said it like 100 times in the movie too.
I know.
I can't remember.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. Oh, because we cared so much about Ant-Man and Wasp, apparently.
Yeah, no, I've seen that too. Yeah, the time stone thing, or just going back in time in general. Yeah, there's been a bunch of speculation on that.
It was a quantum realm. That's what it fucking was. I don't know how I pulled that out of my ass, but there it is, the quantum realm. So when he's stuck in that, that could actually work. Now I'm starting to really buy into, are they gonna do some fucking go back in time bullshit, turn the Earth backwards, and now everything's all good, and then they go at it again with Thanos? I'm not sure. It's kind of interesting, but I don't know how he's gonna come out of the quantum realm otherwise, like miraculously. Or like you said, maybe he does play an integral part in Avengers 4.
Yeah, so that's a speculation, but I don't know if that's a speculation we should have on the Ant-Man and Wasp review where no one's going to...
No, probably not. I think we've already gone way longer than I was anticipating.
Yep, so I'm going to give Ant-Man and Wasp a 2.2 out of 5.
2.2? Holy shit. I think I gave the first Ant-Man a 2.2 or right in that ballpark. I'm going to give it a solid 3.1 out of 5. Maybe I'm being generous.
You really like that little thing. I can show you tons of videos where they throw midgets into the water and do the same sound effect. Dude. You don't have to give the movie that great of a score because you almost peed yourself at that one part.
I guess that's all it was. The humor and it had a little bit more heart for sure, but I don't know, kind of right in that ballpark. I'm sure if I see it again, I'll be like, nah, it wasn't as good. Once you kind of know the humor's coming, so we'll see. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. 3.1.
In case I don't see you.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. You're one of very few to make it to the end.
Yes, thank you very much.
Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Comic Movie Marks Podcast and hit the notification bell. All these fucking YouTube channels say this shit, so I'm going to say it now.
Yes, it's perfect. And if you want to hear our full podcast, you can check out our podcast on iTunes or any other podcast subscription service.
Make sure you subscribe. Thanks again.